just go out there and just commit. Honestly, I mean, we was talking to him about it before the race last weekend and whatnot. So just committing and just going out there and just competing. Honestly, that's what it's all about.
Now it's more exciting. We're just ready to start competing, and there's been a change on the atmosphere, and the girls came, I think, very prepared from the break. We had a long break, but it didn't feel like we were starting over.
We're scrimmaging against each other. Our pitchers are having to throw against our hitters. Our hitters are facing our pitchers. I think we're just ready to go face someone new and get this year going.
I'm so enjoying the process, and I think I want so good for our team because they have been so good for me in my first year. I'm just excited for what the next month has for us.
Beating Northwest last year with the roster that they had, having the success that we've had this year, I think that you're seeing the fruits of that labor a little bit with what my staff has done, with what the players have done.
You're listening to the Griffin Sports Insider Podcast, live from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill in St. Joseph, Missouri. It's our live weekly chat with Missouri Western coaches and athletes. Here's your host for the Griffin Sports Insider Podcast, Tommy Rezach.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. The Griffin Sports Insider Podcast, off and rolling on a Monday afternoon. Monday, January 27th, our final show of this month, the first month of 2025. And getting into that time of year that spring sports are going to be ramping up. Obviously, we got a big basketball game on Saturday and on Wednesday, too, in the case of the men. Obviously, National Signing Day with footballs around the corner in about a week or so. So, yeah, 'tis the season for some busy times. And we're going to break it all down for you this week over the next hour here on the GSI Podcast. I'm Tommy Rezach, and thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for joining us here today, wherever you might be. Giving you an idea of what we're going to be talking about, we're going to talk about some track and field with another meet coming up for them this week at Pittsburgh State. We're going to talk Missouri Western softball as they officially begin the Nicole Thompson era. They'll be on the road in the D2 First Pitch Invitational Tournament in Conroe, Texas, Friday through Sunday. 5 total games, including a game against the defending national champion, University of Texas Tyler. So Missouri Western softball, an exciting start to their season coming up this week, which we will talk about in the program today as well. Missouri Western baseball not joining us today, but they begin their season as well. They'll be at Harding, the home of the Bison in Searcy, Arkansas, for a couple of games on Friday and 2 more on Saturday. So we wish baseball the best of luck there. And then Missouri Western tennis, they open their season at home. That is Genesis Health Club here in St. Joseph with a couple of non-conference matches against William Jewell on Saturday at 4 p.m. Then a pretty quick turnaround. The Griffs will take on Augustana, a team that made the NCAA tournament a season ago. The Griffs take on Augie Sunday morning at 10 a.m. This weekend. Both of those down at Genesis Health Club. And, of course, basketball throughout the week. Back at home for the women, they will be off until Saturday when they take on Northwest. For the men, they'll get a non-conference tune-up against the Haskell Indians, an NAIA school from nearby Lawrence, Kansas, in to play a non-conference game. And then the Griffin men, they, too, will play Northwest, a rivalry game, as we know, with those games starting at 1:30 and 3:30 p.m. And I saw that it's going to be a neon theme. There's going to be 100 free glow sticks given out to folks at the doors at that game on Saturday. So I know both coaches and the teams would love for all the folks to come out and be loud. I mean, it is, whatever their record is, whatever Northwest record is, that's always a big rivalry. They're always important games, and it's MIAA play, and we're getting into about the last month of the regular season in men's and women's basketball. So these are some big tests coming up for the teams. So Cody Ingold of track and field will join us, along with Berhe Usman, junior distance runner from right here in St. Joseph. He's going to be on the program today. We'll hear from softball coach Nicole Thompson with Griffin pitcher Sydney Rader. She'll join us as well. And then both our men's and women's basketball coaches, Ashton Feldhaus and Will Martin, will join us. And also from tennis, Alejandro de la Torre will be here, along with freshman Maeva Roguet from Geneva, Switzerland. We'll talk some tennis coming up in the program today as well. And we'll have our coaches roundtable at the end. So we're glad you're with us. Hope you can stay with us for the next hour. In the meantime, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll lead things off with track and field. Missouri Western track, they had the Rumble in the Jungle this past Friday in Pittsburgh, and that's exactly where track and field is going again this week, this Saturday, for the Pittsburgh State Invitational. So we'll talk with Coach Ingold and Berhe Usman about that when we return. It's the GSI Podcast, broadcasting live from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill on the Griffin Sports Network. We'll be right back. Continuing from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill. It's the Griffin Sports Insider Podcast, off and rolling with Missouri Western Track and Field. The indoor season by now well underway. The Griffins had a meet last Friday in Pittsburgh, Kansas, and that's exactly where they're going this Saturday for the Pitt State Invitational, which we'll talk about with the head coach, Cody Ingold, and also junior. He's a junior distance runner. He's on the cross-country and track team from right here in St. Joseph, part of that conference-winning cross-country team from St. Joseph Central High School a few years ago. Berhe Usman joining us. Gentlemen, thanks for being here. Cody, how are you holding up today?
Well, yesterday was a long day.
Yeah, which we'll get to that in the roundtable.
I had to stay up too late to watch a terrible football game. So, but I had fun with my friends, so that's okay.
Yeah, Berhe, how about you? How's your week treating you so far?
Oh, pretty good. Came off the weekend, just trying to rest up, recover and whatnot.
Well, absolutely. There's another big meet coming up this weekend. But recapping Friday, I know not everybody was there, but a decent amount of runners going for the Rumble in the Jungle in Pittsburgh at the Robert Plaster Center. And a pretty decent day, all things considered. The women finishing in 6th place out of 18 teams. The men finishing 6th out of 15. And Berhe Usman, one of 3 runners to PR in the 600-meter run. Berhe finishing 4th with a time of 1:13.82 seconds. And Sam Hydro and DeAndre Williams also placing in the top 6 of that event and PRing there. But Coach, moreover, Mackenzie Garb, another win in shot put. Alyssa Mahoney, Bella right behind her in shot put. Haley Sampson, Abby Henry placing in long jump. Just what were your feelings on the effort on Friday?
It was hot and cold. It was we had a heavy week, and I didn't really back off knowing we had a Friday meet. We probably could have done things a little bit differently, but my message every year, every meeting is we're trying to run well at conference and nationals. So these meets they matter. They do matter, but like PRing isn't, if we PR, that means we're doing everything right and things are going perfectly. But the goal is to execute some race strategies or event strategies, like whether it be jumps or throws. We're working on one certain thing. So it was hot and cold. They started off a little bit rough. Bella, no marked weight throw, sectored all 3 of her prelim throws, so she doesn't make a final. Kenzie didn't make the final either. Then go from there and then go to long jump, and both of them jump pretty well. So it's just a little bit back and forth. Yeah. So sprint hurdles jumps was kind of, like I said, a little bit beat up. We talked about this last week. I talk about it all the time. If you don't do everything you need to do over break, we're going to come back and we're going to train like we did everything over break. So if you didn't, you're going to be in the hole a little bit, and it's easier to, I shouldn't say easier, but you can fake it a little bit better if you're a middle distance runner, because you have that big base from the fall where sprinters don't usually tend to have that. So we've got some things we're going to work on. We're a little bit beat up. So, again, I'm not trying to be ready till March 1st, 2nd. So, until then, doesn't really matter.
Yeah, the conference meet coming up March 1st and the 2nd. And, Berhe, you, DeAndre, Sam, you're all right there within a second of each other there in the 600, all finishing in the top 5. You had Powell getting a top 3 there in the 3,000-meter run. Just, I guess, how would you characterize the day last Friday?
I feel like for my group, my middle distance group, it wasn't really what we wanted.
Sure.
Just coming into it, we had certain goals and stuff like that. But eventually they're going to come, definitely, so it's just a matter of time before we hit those times. And I feel like my group did a pretty good, decent job throughout break, you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's only a matter of time before we get that.
Yeah, I texted Cody yesterday figuring out who we should have on the show with him, and he recommended you. And I was pretty happy about that because I was looking back at some archives. I went to your signing in December of 2021, so I'd lived here less than a year, and here you are, your 3rd year as a Griffin.
Yeah.
Pretty hard to believe. I know you had moved here from Oklahoma City a few years back, and then the decision to stay here, to stay home here in your 3rd season. Just how was the decision to come and compete for Cody in this team? How has that paid off for you now in your 3rd season?
Well, I don't think I even told him about this, but like when I first moved here, they were practicing at LeBlanc, and I went there and I was like, yo, like what times I got to run to make it on the team and whatnot. And eventually, it just kind of happened, having a successful program in Central and stuff like that with Bob and everything. And, that definitely paved the way for me to be able to be on the team and whatnot. But, yeah, I don't.
They would have, if Berhe wouldn't have dragged his feet when he first got to St. Joseph, St. Joe Central would have won a state title that year in cross country, because Bob didn't know him and he tried to join a little bit too late, and he was like, this kid from Oklahoma, he can't be that good, and he wasn't that good at all. Apparently, he definitely would have helped that. Would they get 3rd that year? I think. Yeah. And then it helped that he for me it was getting to stay home is always an opportunity as long as you have that. Some people really want to get away, and maybe he does, but he wants to help and take care of his family and do that too. Yeah. So it's, for me, it was huge, and I'm glad. I didn't think he was going to say yes, so I was pumped they did. Yeah. And we're just scratching the surface, I think, on Berhe's talents. So.
Yeah, and the pipeline there with Bob Miller's runners, Mason Orschelin, another central guy that's come to run for the Griffins. And, that senior year, a KC Suburban Conference title and then a state record broken at the meet in Columbia. Was that your junior year when you broke the school record at state? Or senior year? I think it was your senior year, right? Senior, in Class 5. Yeah, they're in the state meet in Columbia. But back to kind of the present day, you go right back to Pitt. Now, Coach, on the schedule, you had a 2-day event at Washburn and then the 1-day event at Pitt. Not going to Washburn, so focusing everything on Pitt State.
Yeah, we put our schedule in so early, and it's, track is unique in the sense we don't have to schedule out opponents and all that. So I've kind of put something together based on what I thought maybe we'd need to do, and there's some plans I still was kind of on the edge of, but like I said, we're coming back a little bit beat up, and if we can get everything done in a day, let's just do that. Travel purposes, it's a lot easier, and if we're split squad, I coach jump, sprints, hurdles. Goose does distance. I obviously help middle distance, and then we have Jordan and throws. So he may have to be at 2 places, then I'm coaching something else, and it's not good for the athletes. We want to make sure they have the right experience, have the coaches where they need to be. So a 1-day makes more sense. This meets, if I remember correctly, it's kind of it's limited entries, so it's not a huge meet, but it's not just a jam pack. The one that we're going to on Valentine's weekends, they're big ones. So this will be competitive, but it's not going to be, MIAA competitive, I don't feel like. So it's nice to get out and get some and it's really I like their facility. It's a really nice facility, runs well. So and we're going to finally open people up in some events that their main events, which will be nice.
Yeah. Well, it looks like you'll have a split squad Valentine's Day weekend with Summit, Topeka then, and more at the Pitt invite that day
Possibly.
Too. Okay.
Just depends.
This track schedules are always so fluid, aren't they?
Yeah, I hate it. I hate it for you guys, but it allows me, there's 3 very nice facilities in the MIAA that are within 2 hours of us. So, well, probably 2.5 if you count Pitt. So it's just, you got to weigh your options and see which one makes sense. It doesn't make sense for us to run distance runners on a 200-meter bank track built for sprinters. So, but maybe our throwers and jumpers want to go to Washburn. So we'll just kind of see when we get closer to that. But, those last 2 weeks are pretty big ones. So that's where we're trying to gear up to run well those 2 weeks so we can set ourselves up to run well again 2 weeks later at conference.
Yeah, there's a Bearcat invite coming up February 7th and 8th. And, Valentine's Day weekend, the big meet at Pitt is the Russ Jewett Indoor Gorilla Classic. Is that the one where some Division I schools show up to compete as well?
It's massive. Yeah. Huge 2-day meet almost all day, both days. Yeah. I mean, it's really, really, really competitive. So, almost every MIAA school will be there, and it's it's the last kind of tune-up. We do have a meet that's not on schedule that we always do with Northwest the following week, but this is the last big meet that we're in that we need to take care of business. So
yeah, and then of course MIAA comes up March 1st and 2nd at the Hughes Fieldhouse in Maryville. Berhe, any final thoughts? Just what are you looking to achieve this weekend?
Just go out there and just commit, honestly. I mean, we was talking to him about it before the race last weekend and whatnot. So just committing and just going out there and just competing, honestly. That's what it's all about. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, the Griffins, again, they'll be competing throughout the day. This Saturday, the 1st, in Pittsburgh, Kansas. What's the start time down there on Saturday?
First event's at 10.
10 a.m.?
Yeah, last event's at 10. So
woo. Yeah, long
it's going to be a day.
Long day for the black and gold into Pittsburgh. But, gentlemen, good luck, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for the time.
Tommy.
Thank you.
There you go. Berhe Usman, our student-athlete, joining us here in this segment. Junior distance runner, member of the cross-country team, and a St. Joe Central graduate, coming on 3 years ago. We'll take a break. Let's talk Missouri Western tennis for the first time in 2025. Getting ready for his 4th year as the head coach, it's Alejandro de la Torre with a first-year Griffin from Switzerland, Maeva Roguet. And so we'll talk to those two about their season opening matches this weekend at Genesis Health Club. That's coming up from Hi Ho Bar and Grill on the GSI Podcast. We're back. We continue from Hi Ho Bar and Grill on the GSI Podcast. I'm Tommy Rezach. We talk Griffin tennis. You're defending MIAA tournament champions from 2024. And Cody Ingold bringing the spirit back to Hi Ho Bar and Grill. Joined by 4th-year head coach Alejandro de la Torre and a first-year Griffin, a freshman from Geneva, Switzerland, Maeva Roguet. Guys, thanks for coming up. And Coach, just starting with you, 7 kids on your roster. Now, it's no secret, it's a bit of a younger group, right? 4 freshmen, you got 1 senior. But that aside, how much fun are you having with this group, and how excited are you guys to just ramp things back up here?
Well, thank you for having us, Tommy. We're very excited. We're having a lot of fun. Just the first semester, for a lot of people in the fall, there was a lot of hard work to do, and maybe things were not as fun, but now it's more exciting. We're just ready to start competing, and there's been a change on the atmosphere, and the girls came, I think, very prepared from the break. We had a long break, but it didn't feel like we were starting over, so it's been good so far.
Absolutely, and it was a fairly busy fall. You competed in the ITA Regional Championships. That was last September in Edmond, where you were competing against some of the very best in the region and the country down there. And then in October, we hosted Truman State on a Sunday afternoon at Noyes and beat them 6-1. So officially the season off to a 1-0 start. And staying with you, coaches, in those events, I mean, taking on some great competition. What do you think you learned about this team, and what did your competitors learn about themselves? I mean, how valuable was that experience?
Regionals was really good. Maeva, for example, had a really good tournament. She had a bad start on the first match, but then she got to play back draw. She made it to the semi-finals. She didn't get to finish because of the tournament got rained out, but she was probably off to at least making the final and maybe winning the whole thing. So for a freshman, that was really, really good. And the whole group in general, I think that we had a good presence. It's been a big change from last year, but I think a lot of the times you expect to drop out, a kind of a rebuild year, they say, but I think we had a good showing. We just had to, more than playing, the problem is not the level of player, or it's just more getting used to the things that have worked for us in the past, and how, I guess, the culture, you would say, of how we've been doing things in the past, and that's been the adjustment for the players. But for sure we have the level. I think I've said that to you guys before. You guys start off at a better point than the previous team, level-wise and tennis-wise. So that's exciting. Just getting some things down there.
Yeah. Now, is it Maeva or Maeva?
It's Maeva.
Maeva Roguet. Freshman, Geneva, Switzerland, one of 4 newcomers this year. And Maeva, you did get a victory against Truman State in number 2 doubles with Celia Castaño Malnero. Just going into your first full year here at Missouri Western, just how excited are you to just get rolling with this group?
Well, I'm very excited to be here, honestly. The team is incredible. I couldn't ask for a better team, Everything is so cool. We act like a little family, And yeah, I'm very excited. Last semester was very hard practices, and mentally was extremely hard. But the team is always here for each other, helping each other when we need help. And yeah, I think we can do it this semester.
There's so many nationally profound programs, I feel like, in the MIAA right now. We got like 3 or 4 teams in our league ranked in the top 25. The coaches picked 3 teams ahead of us in the MIAA preseason poll. And obviously there's so many good internationals playing in our league. For you to come play for Coach Alex here, what was it, growing up in Switzerland? I don't know what y'all's perception of the Midwest and Missouri is, but in the end, what sold you on Missouri Western?
Well, I don't know. It's so excited to play for, a new country. And also for Coach. I came here because of him, because, I think that he's amazing, and a very amazing coach. And when we had this first call, I was like, okay, I'm gonna be there, because I don't know, the team looks so good and everybody looks so kind, And now I'm so happy to be here and compete for Missouri Western.
Yeah, and in that same vein, Coach, you talk of recruiting. I mean, what this program's done in the last 3 years: regional championship 2 years ago, MIAA championship last season, 3 straight years of getting to that central regional final, and nationally ranked 24th at the moment. Just how do you feel like in your time here, how much has this program's brand and identity grown, both domestically and abroad?
Well, I mean, you said it. I mean, I don't think we were ever expecting to get where we got these past years. In the past we've been kind of the underdog, but I think it's just been having the right people and people that bought into things, and having a common goal. It's a small group, but you usually have. It's hard to not have someone that is not going to be buying into things, and I think we've had really good history with that, and it's. I'm really proud of the girls, and I think they're really proud of even the ones that just been here for a year or two, or maybe they just were for one of the regional tournaments or whatever it is. You know, that everyone has had a role in that and making the program what it is today. You know, and they are still like super into what's happening and following and reaching out to me and making trips to visit and meet the new girls. So it's just, you know, when I first started working here, I never thought that the program will be what it is today, and I just hope that we can continue building on top of it and continue going.
Yeah, in a league with so many established programs, you know, like what Coach Rosewell's done at Northwest for decades on end, Washburn, Kearney, UCO getting first place votes. I mean, yeah, this was a pretty elite field. The Missouri Westerns are right there competing with those elite teams, and some good competition this weekend. Genesis Health Club, we're at home this weekend, taking on William Jewell Saturday at 4, and then Augustana, who had just as many wins as we did a season ago. The Augie was 18-5. They were in the Central Region, got bounced by Northwest in the first round, and we played Augustana last year, beat them 4-3. Of course, we got a sound win over Jewell as well. But new season, Coach, everyone's kind of getting a feel for one another. Just how do you approach the weekend?
Well, with William Jewell, every year we play them, they've been getting better. You know, I think in the past they've been at a different stage. We were more established, and they've been making progress every year. So I'm sure that this year is probably going to be the best match we've had with them. It can go one way or the other, and with Augustana, it's always an amazing team. They may be a little similar situation where they lost some of their players or the top 3 players, and so it's both new programs, a lot of new people, and last year was really close. We barely beat them for 3 in a third set on Maria's court, and so I'm sure they're excited to play us again, and we're excited to see them again, see what they have. So
you traveled to Augustana, right?
We went there
last year, yeah. And so they get to see us, and maybe you had those kind of icebreakers in the fall. Now you get to do it for real. Probably a long couple of months here waiting around, but for you and the 3 other freshmen on this team, how excited are you guys in particular to go show the league and go show people who you are?
Yeah, I'm very excited because it's completely new, you know, like when I was competing in Switzerland or in France, it was like I was alone playing. Now we are a team, you know. I'm excited to play for a team, and yeah, I think we are ready, like the freshmen and everybody else. Like we have been practicing very hard, as I said, like last semester, and yeah, I think we can do something very good this semester.
The defending MIAA champions, winners of 18 matches a season ago, now going on that title defense. A little ways yet till we start MIAA play, but some pretty terrific non-con competition out of the chute. William Jewell Saturday at 4 p.m. and then we'll take on Augustana Sunday at 10. So 2 matches there at Genesis Health Club on the North Belt Highway in St. Joseph. So get out and support if you can. Guys, thanks for joining us. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
There you go, Coach Alejandro de la Torre. In his 4th season, joined by first-year Griffin, the freshman of Geneva, Switzerland, Maeva Roguet. Job well done by both of you. And, man, yeah, what a rocket ship that program's been the last couple years. So looking forward to more there. We'll take a break. Let's talk softball. Another team getting ready to start the season. We had Nicole Thompson on a couple weeks ago. We'll welcome Nicole back on, and along with one of her student athletes. We'll find out who next. It's the GSI Podcast from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill. Stay with us. Keeping things moving here on our Griffin Sports Insider Podcast. I'm Tommy Rezach, pleased to talk Missouri Western softball now. The 7th head coach in program history, officially getting ready to open the Nicole Thompson era. It's Coach Nicole Thompson, along with someone we've gotten to know well over these last few years, a senior pitcher from Norfolk, Nebraska, now a 3-time all-conference performer, Sydney Rader. Ladies, thanks for coming. How are we doing today?
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Season's here. I mean, just we talked a couple weeks ago, Nicole, but going to Texas, got some terrific competition that you've got lined up here. Just, I don't know, for you personally, what's the feeling right now?
I'm excited. I think we're kind of getting to that point since we've been back a little bit here in the winter of like we're kind of sick of that. We're scrimmaging against each other. Our pitchers are having to throw against our hitters. Our hitters are facing our pitchers. I think we're just ready to go face someone new and get this year going.
Yeah. Now, Sydney, I need to apologize because last April I think we were hosting Missouri S&T, and I think you had started either the first or second game of the doubleheader, and I had it in my brain that, this is it, right? You know, this is our last home game. But your fiance Cody Watson was kind enough to pull me aside shortly thereafter and say she's got another year. So we're thrilled that you're back with us for another season. But want to go back to about around that time a year ago. Sid, it's now the third different coach you'll be playing for in your career. And I know that was a tough time there, that we had so many close games, right, against some really good teams and didn't end the way we wanted to at conference. And, of course, the announcement and change of leadership comes. But Nicole joins us in the summer, just in the days and months since. What was your impression, and how has the relationship kind of evolved for you and the team?
I feel like I never had I had a thought of leaving Missouri Western and not actually continuing to play softball, but I'm so thankful that I was able to come back, play under Coach Nicole. I mean, she's been great since she's been here. I feel like our team has gotten a lot closer. We've had good relationships between us players and the coaches, and I wouldn't want it any other way. I love Missouri Western, and I'm so glad I stayed.
Absolutely. Well, we're thrilled that you stayed as well. And, Coach, you look at this roster, and again, we've talked about some of this, but I counted 11 newcomers, 11 returners, so just a great mix of familiar and some new, whether that's freshmen and transfers and the like. But what's also interesting, it's not super uncommon in softball, but you got two multi-sport athletes helping you out. Mackenzie Garr, who's been phenomenal in track and field as a thrower, and then Morgan Bird, a keeper from our soccer team. What are you hoping to get out of those two?
Yeah, we've been very fortunate with those two. I think being a multi-sport athlete, just you create different habits for your body, and I think it just brings out more athletic ability too of what you can do during practice, and some of the soccer skills comes over to endurance and softball. And clearly Gar has been a powerhouse for our track and field, and I'm very fortunate that Cody allowed us to borrow her for a little bit, and with our depth in our pitching staff. And so she's just kind of gotten on that mound, and nothing really phases her. So it's been kind of cool to see her getting back into that pitching motion from track. And so, yeah, I think these two will be a great addition for us in the spring.
Yeah, with Mackenzie Garr in the circle, St. Joe Central not so long ago competed for a district championship in Kansas City down in Liberty. I forget who they played, but, man, was Mackenzie really good in high school here in the city and playing teams from Casey proper. Well, let's talk about this weekend. 5 total games coming up. It is the Division II first pitch invitational tournament in Conroe, Texas. We get things going on Friday with a doubleheader against St. Edwards and Midwestern State, both teams from Texas, with a 4 and 6:30 start there. Doubleheader Saturday, Texas A&M International and Texas Women's University, 11 a.m., 4 p.m. And then Sunday, pretty appealing matchup here. Number 1, the defending national champions, UT Tyler, taking on the Griffins on Sunday at 12:30. We talked about it. You wanted to load that non-conference schedule, and maybe it's not super familiar opposition. I think everyone will kind of be feeling each other out, but just your thoughts on the field ahead of you this weekend.
Yep. Like I said, I scheduled it this way. I think I have the team to do it. It helps when you have some senior leadership like this, and a very much of a dog on that mound that can help us produce that. But I think this team is ready. They want to fight that competition every day in practice. We put that with our practice plan of high intensity. We want to work fast. We want to work hard. And, if we want to be the best in the MIAA, then we're going to have to face that. And I think when we talked about the last time I was on the show of getting ourselves ready for that conference, and how do we work through that adversity, and how do we, when our backs are against the wall with these good teams, or we're beating these good teams, how do we stay consistent? How do we find our momentum as a team? And I think that's the best way to do it, is we're going to face some really good pitching, but we've been doing that with our inner squads. We're going to face really good hitters. We've been doing that with our inner squads. And so I think it's just that mindset of we're going down there, and it's some good top 25 teams, but I think we have the team to be there too. And so having that confidence and knowing what we've worked all fall, and kind of trusting that process, and ultimately playing for each other.
Absolutely. Now, Sid, I was a little surprised to see you had a little bit of a mark there, some stitches. You said you got hit with a ball in practice. Is that right?
Yeah, I was pitching. One of my teammates hit it back at my face, and I got it off of my mask. Thank goodness. Yeah. My mask was there, because otherwise I don't know what I would have looked like without it. But yeah. A couple of stitches, a week out, but I was ready to go on Saturday when we had a scrimmage again. So
good. I was going to say, I know 2 years ago had to be tough sitting out and then coming off the injury last year. And what a great career you've had, a 3-time All-Conference, honorable mention a season ago. I know it's an emotional time anytime you're getting ready to play and suit it up for the final time. But, new coach, great team, a good diverse team from all over the place. Just what's your plan this season? What do you hope to just leave it out there, so to speak?
I'm just ready to compete with my teammates. I think that we have the ability to do what we need to do and what we want to do. And everybody's just so confident in themselves and confident in their team. Just being able to be out there with each other rather than trying to prove something bigger than what we want to prove. So I think we have the tools to do it, and I think we'll be great out there.
I'm getting a little feedback on the mics here, so apologize for that. But anyway, it'll be the D2 First Pitch Invitational Tournament Friday through Sunday. 5 total games in all with doubleheaders Friday, Saturday, and the one game against number 1 in the country, UT Tyler, Sunday afternoon at 12:30. I can tell you this, myself and the whole GSI team will be following it and posting stats and recaps and trying to keep you up to speed all weekend long on what these Griffins are doing. And then they go back to Texas, February 7th and 9th for the George and Ola McCorkey Challenge. So quite a few games here on the road before the home opener on March the 12th. So, ladies, thanks for coming up, and best of luck. Safe travels this weekend.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. Sid Rader and Nicole Thompson joining us on this part of the GSI podcast. All right, we'll take a break. We got to talk basketball still in our next half hour, so we'll step aside. We'll talk women's hoops first with the head coach Ashton Feldhaus, as they will get the at least a sort of week off. They played Saturday, and then their next game is this Saturday against Northwest. So just one game on the schedule this week. We'll talk about it and recap the past week of games when we return. It's the GSI Podcast from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill. Keeping things going on the GSI Podcast, I'm Tommy Rezach as we talk women's basketball now with our first-year head coach Ashton Feldhaus. The Griffins were back home for a big doubleheader against Central Missouri and Washburn, a Wednesday and Saturday contest starting on Wednesday against the Jennies. Coach, I know that's a game where it's like, it's frustrating in the way that you start. It's encouraging in the way that you fought back and you got a lead, but then, the finish, I know, left something to be desired as the Jennies pull away late to win it 68-62. Just first off, thoughts on how that game unfolded. I know they present some mismatches, particularly inside, and on Wednesday, I know you were pretty pretty fired up. A little bit disappointed in how it went down. Just recap Wednesday for us, quick.
Yeah, I think after watching it. Frustrated, I think was the word, because it was everything we had already talked about as a staff and everything we had gone over with them the prior 2 days kind of just went out the window when the game started. So rebounding was a big one, and effort, I think, to rebound the basketball. So after watching that back, did not execute that, and then I think we shot 8 free throws and they shot 28. So they made more free throws, far more free throws than we attempted. So the aggressive plays, which I know I mentioned to you after the game, the same. And then obviously their best player, we kind of let her get out of control. I think she had 30 points or something like that. So we did not take care of business. All to say, still in the basketball game in overtime. And then our response in overtime was not very good either. I think we got outscored 9-3. So with all of that going against us, again, not our best showing, not our best shooting night. We shot 20 more field goals than they did, only 8 of 30 from 3. But to still be in the basketball game, I think positives to take away from it now that I've had a couple of days to digest it. But it was one we would have liked to have had at home for sure.
Yeah, I mean, your guards were hustling all over the place, doing what they could. And I know Alyssa had a tough matchup with 6-foot Taylor Weiser on her, but Alyssa's still coming up with 15 points in the second half. And, going back to what you said Wednesday, you kind of looked at me and Coach Ed and said, Thursday, Friday are going to be tough. And in that sense, did you see a determined bunch, a team that was motivated to bounce back?
Absolutely. They responded so well. And I told them after the game, this is what your next 2 days are going to look like. And it wasn't like the best picture, I guess, I painted. But, I say it all the time, our kids do work. And some of that was coaching, too. They put their 5-man on our point guard, and why I didn't put Alyssa in more ball screens, I do not know. So when we face them again, we're just going to go 2-man game the entire time. And in the game, I just didn't see that. We didn't do it near enough. So some of that is on me, just the same. So we came in, talked about effort, rebounding. We watched it both days. And then to turn around and do what we did against Washburn. I mean, we let their best player, I think she shot 5 times. So defensively, our effort was there. Again, we did not shoot it great. We shot 42 threes, which is great, but we only hit 11 of them. But still, had we have lost that game, I would have felt way more comfortable with our effort and just execution-wise. We just didn't hit shots, but still, we hit them when we needed to. Marie had a huge one at the end. I think it was the only point she had.
Yes.
Alyssa just the same. Our guards just hustle. You're 100% right. And then our post players are figuring it out as well, too. We're so outsized in the post, but defensively, I was super proud of them on Saturday.
It was just amazing, the Washburn big that we talk about, Yabari Widada, their 6+ foot center, all conference, shooting like 70%, literally best in the country. And any time she touched the ball, I mean, there were 3 white and gold jerseys right on her. And you're right, 4 points on 1 of 5 shooting, got in some foul trouble, and the Griffins take advantage there, beat Washburn 62-56 in a string of 3 3-pointers in those final 3 minutes, or 5 minutes, I guess it was. But my goodness, when you get Matilda Soderlund going like that again, we saw it against Sioux Falls and McKendree in non-con. It's like, man, what a nice weapon that is, and nice to see her get back to form. 5 triples for Tilly. But you said it in post-game Saturday that response is what you're looking for, and you felt like that's what you had.
No, it is, and it's nice to have Tilly. She's been in kind of a shooting slump, and the best way to do that is just to keep shooting the ball. So that's what I told her. She was frustrated at halftime. I think she'd shot 8 or something at halftime. I said, hey, keep going. You're wide open. So I don't mind when they're missing shots if they're the right shots. And that's what we cut film today, and here's all the right plays. Just because the ball doesn't go into the basket, like, don't get discouraged. And we did. We made all the right plays. We pushed pace. That was the best we've done really in about a month, pushing pace. So execution-wise, game plan-wise, I thought they did fantastic.
Yeah, and in talking on Saturday too, it's like to go into this bye week with a victory, chance to just calm some waters and chance to catch your breath. And I think Candy said it the last few years too. It's always this time of year. We're kind of in those dog days, so great time to catch your breath and rest the legs a little bit.
No, it's been great. And we were 6 a.m. this morning, but we took the time to really just stayed in the half court, broke down offensive segments, defensive segments, things that you really can't take the time when you're in prep weeks with a game on a Thursday, things that you can't take the time to work on. And our kids do great and kind of staying focused. And now they're starting to feel it because you're getting that March feel, right? Once you get to February, we're there. So they know how imperative it is for these next few weeks. But we're going to take Wednesday off and go to the animal shelter and do something a little different and volunteer and kind of get out of the gym. So yeah, it falls at a perfect time for us and for Coach and I as well to kind of like revamp. And we're about to see the whole second half of conference, which we haven't seen. So taking some time that we've desperately needed to kind of regroup and get the girls' legs under them.
Obviously, once we get to the end of the season in a couple months, that's kind of when you reflect and look back. But we are kind of past that halfway point. 18 games down, 9 in the regular season to go. Just I don't know, what has been the biggest learning curve or learning experience for you through all this? Do you think?
Oh God, I feel like I'm learning every day.
Yeah,
every day I'm meeting new challenges. I think. For me, patience is a big one, but our group is they're fun to coach, and sometimes I have to check myself, like, hey, it's not for lack of effort, right? So I expect perfection, and I'm learning really, really quickly that that's not going to happen all the time. So trying to, I think, keep my blood pressure down is a good way to put it, but to really teach and then figure out how this group is going to respond. Like, what do they respond to? Is it this type of teaching? Is it visual? Do we need to spend a lot of time in film? Do we need individual stuff? I've so enjoyed it, but it's such a learning curve for everybody. I'm new to them. Coach is new to being the top assistant. All of our kids are new to really all the playing time that they're receiving. So with all of us being so new, it's such a process, but I'm learning new stuff every single day about myself, about our team. And I think that's like something that's special about this group. It's everybody's first time doing something. So yeah, we're a tight group, I will say that. And we're certainly a family. Some days are a little rough, some days are really good, but I'm so enjoying the process. And I think I want so good for our team because they have been so good for me in my first year. I'm just excited for what the next month has for us.
Glad you brought up playing time. I was going to ask, you changed up the starting line a bit on Saturday. Gosha getting, I think, her second start of the year, and then Meredith Reek, her first career start in her third year. I guess what was the strategy there, do you think?
We were going to push pace. They try to press you as soon as the game starts, and we need people in there who can handle the ball a little bit, and then we needed quick guards to go double team really, really fast. And we're trying to get out of that slump of starting slow. We've started slow the past few games. So, and then there's some games where Cassie's going to be needed. Cassie and Jaden both are going to be needed a little bit more, and then some games where I need the Gosha and Jessie flavor. So we have that luxury at the moment where you have 10 different players, but all with different skill sets. So, and it's all game dependent. It really has nothing else to do with, except for the fact that, hey, this is the matchup. These are where we think we can exploit the other team. This is what we're going with. And our kids have been great. We've changed the lineup all year long, trying to figure stuff out for each team. And they're just like, okay, this is what we got this game. And they know they're all coming in, so they don't get really bothered by it. Sometimes you get teams teams where if one's pulled from the starting lineup, they just kind of cave. We do not have that type of team. They're great. It was Meredith's first start, and as soon as we said it, everybody was like, yeah, Meredith. So that's the type of stuff that you love to see. They're excited for each other. So, and I thought we, I know we didn't score the ball, but we were spot shooting. So our start was exactly what we wanted. We just didn't put the ball in the hole, which was fine. Going back and watching it, I was happy with the shots that we got. So.
Yeah, like the first 7 from 3, but by golly, they all looked pretty good just watching it in real time. Or 5 days away now from the next game, that is Northwest. And now, impressive start by Northwest. We know that they were playing in St. Joe in November. They beat Ashland and then Minnesota State, the defending champs, and everyone's like, whoa. And then they're 9 in the country when we play them, and then we beat them. They lose 6 in a row, and now it's just been kind of a 1 step forward, 1 step back deal for them. They're 10-10 right now, 3-7 in the league, but they did get a season sweep against Central Missouri. They beat them emphatically on Saturday, and they, like us, get the week off now, and we get them at home, of course. Memories from that game on December the 3rd. It was a great start there. Yeah. But that's almost 2 months between playing them. What's the biggest key as you get ready to see them again?
Well, they had a great shooting game. They're shooting the ball well right now. The past couple games, they've shot the ball well. I think last game was the best they'd shot from the field and from 3. So they're red hot coming in, but as in typical Northwest fashion, they're going to cut the game in half. They're trying to slow the game down. So our key, obviously, going in is we're pushing pace the entire time, which last game we did fantastic at. So we're trying to get back to dictating both ends of the floor and not kind of being the passive team. We want to be the aggressive teams, right? So we want stops and scores, and then when we go to score, we're working on pushing the ball up the floor, like passing the ball over half court instead of like pounding the ball in, because we get standing a lot. Like, you'll see possessions where we're so stagnant. So if we ball move, body move, pass the ball over half court, and really try to speed Northwest up, I think that favors us. And I think the whole Washburn game, we were in control as far as the pace, which is what we're looking for. So they're a good team. They have great players individually, but I do think we can exploit them in some ways. And obviously they have the big girl, but we did a good job on her first time around, so we're going to try to do the same thing second time.
Yeah, Kelsey Fields, they're big, and then 2 pretty experienced guards. I think the only shooter that has more made threes in the league right now than Matilda Soderlund is Kaylee Keston, a senior for them. And I feel like I've been watching Molly Hartnett play forever. She had a great game on Saturday. So veteran group, well coached as we know, and it's a rivalry day, so that makes it fun. And that'll be a 1:30 start on the first day of February. It'll be a neon theme. I hear they're giving out some glow sticks to folks at the door. So be there, be loud for a Highway 71 battle as we get them at home. And 5 or 6 straight against Northwest. So we'll look to keep that going too. And then the men will follow at 3:30, of course. That's women's basketball coach Ashton Feldhaus. Coach, thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy the week. Appreciate it. All right, there you go. Good spirit here today, led by Cody Ingold, getting us fired up here today. We'll take a break. We'll talk men's basketball now. Will Martin getting ready to not only face Northwest, but they've got a non-conference game against Haskell in just 2 days this coming Wednesday night. So we'll talk about that too when we return. It's the GSI Podcast from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill. Rolling on from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill on the Griffin Sports Insider Podcast, our final one-on-one interview segment of the show. Pleased to be joined by men's basketball coach Will Martin as the Griffins enter the week 13-7 overall, 5-5 in the MIAA. Kind of getting on that home stretch of the season a little bit. We turn to February, and then you turn the month after that. We'll be getting ready for a conference tournament and things like that, but still some big weeks ahead. But let's recap the week that was for these Griffins, home to Central Missouri and Washburn, and starting things off with a bang, 81-62, a win against the Mules behind 15 made three-pointers. And Coach, I think the best way I can think to describe that is just complimentary, especially in those last 20 to 25 minutes. You end the first half on the big run, the half-court shot by Julius Dixon, and pick right up where you left off. And it was such a great atmosphere too. I felt like the energy in the building was good. Just thoughts on Wednesday's effort?
Yeah, first shout out the entire baseball team. I mean, they gave great energy, and I'm not one of those coaches that says that the environment doesn't change or impact the game. I think absolutely it does. I think that those guys gave us a true home court advantage. And it wasn't just them. We had a lot of other student athletes there, a lot of coaches that were there, and then obviously the community showed up well. And that makes a huge impact. You know, I think that it gives our guys energy, and you definitely felt it in that game.
And people certainly were packing in on Saturday to get a glimpse of a battle with the #1 team in the nation in Washburn. And to their credit, the Ichabods, they kind of showed why they were #1. That's what they've done to teams. They just get on these big runs. They separate themselves and kind of able to do that, winning 85-52 on Saturday. And hard to stop a team that was shooting as hot as they did, 11 of 22 from 3, about 54% from the field. But we can get into the game for one, but also for two. I kind of enjoyed the message after where you said, hey, this doesn't have to define us. We're better than what that game shows and still got everything in front of us still.
Well, you kind of witnessed, maybe for lack of a better metaphor, but you kind of saw the duality of man with our men's basketball program this week in terms of that UCM game. I think that it was probably the best offensively we've played. Maybe not the best defensively, but it's always hard when you have, a 20-point lead early, and we were able to get a lot of guys in the game. And then you have Washburn, where I thought that it was honestly one of our worst games from a connection standpoint on both ends of the floor. And so, it's one of those deals that as a head coach, you're disappointed, and then you watch the film and you get a little ticked off, and then you watch the film a second time and you get a little bit more ticked off, and then after you watch the film 3 or 4 times, all of a sudden you start seeing puzzle pieces and you start looking at it objectively and pragmatic, and you start to see solutions to the problems. And so, I've watched the film 4 times now, and I'm kind of in that mode where it's like, okay, this is what we have to do in practice today. This is what I need to do with this guy and that guy, and this is the things that we need to do to make sure that doesn't happen again. And credit to Washburn, because it wasn't all self-inflicted. Yes. They're the number 1 team in the country for a reason. They did some really good things, but for us, we had way too many shutdowns in terms of our coverages. We did not do a great job with our reaction times in terms of getting back and building a wall in transition. And then analytically, we turned the ball over 17 times. We give up 12-0 boards, and they score 25 points in transition. And so you're looking at the score and you're like, man, this could have been 50, And so those are things that we control regardless of who we're playing. And so we got to get back after it. We're going to have a long film session today, and then the guys are going to enjoy Andrew Thompson in the film room. In the weight room. And then we'll get back at it on the court on Tuesday.
Yep, as we've got a game coming up on Wednesday against the Haskell Indians, a team in the NAIA out of Lawrence, Kansas, a record of 6-17, though Haskell's starting to play a bit better. They've won 2 of their last 3 games now. They faced off against Rogers State and Oral Roberts. I believe those were exhibitions that happened earlier in the season. Kind of a rare thing, Coach, to get a non-con at this point in the schedule. Just you explained it kind of in post game that you're kind of treating this schedule in chunks, like 3-game series. So you beat UCM, lost to Washburn, now a chance to win a little mini series here. Just thoughts on the upcoming matchup Wednesday?
Yeah, and I'm never one to say that I have all the answers, but one thing that I feel like the last few years is that we haven't finished well, and trying to find solutions to that problem. One thing that I wanted to do this year was try to compartmentalize the season with the guys and play 3-game series. So you have a 30-game schedule. You break that into 10 3-game series. If you go 2-1 in all of those, you have a 20-win season, and you put yourself in a position maybe to extend your season in the NCAA tournament. Doesn't mean that that's a guarantee, but that was kind of the mindset, was trying to, regardless of what happens during the year, if our guys can stay focused on 3-game series, that would be able to, keep them focused, and you don't get really as mopey after a loss, and you also don't get really high after a win. And so it was a way for us as a staff to try to, again, compartmentalize it to keep everybody as even keel as possible. And this Haskell game is the 3rd game of this 3-game series, and we've accomplished that to this point. So we're 13-7. You get the win against Haskell. If we get the win, when we get the win, you'd be 14-7, and you have 3 more 3-game series. And we have to stay locked in, and then hopefully you steal a couple 3-0s in that. And so that was kind of the point. That was the purpose. The other reason that I wanted to schedule an NAIA during this week is that just my experience here is that Northwest week can get a little overhyped, and every kid reacts and responds differently emotionally. And I just thought that we needed something in the middle of the week to focus on and prepare for instead of overhyping the Northwest matchup. We want to treat that Northwest matchup just like any other game, the same way we did UCM and Washburn. And so is that the right thing to do? I don't know. I'm always looking for solutions to problems, and I've just felt like even when Sundance was here and I was an assistant, that Northwest week is always just so overhyped, and for good reason. I mean, that's it's a rivalry game. We always want to beat Northwest, but sometimes with 18 to 23-year-old kids, they don't really handle that type of hype or pressure very well, and so we intentionally scheduled that game where it is, and hopefully our guys can focus on Haskell, making sure that we're getting better when we watch film today, making sure we're correcting the things that went wrong in the Washburn game, and then accentuate that in the game against Haskell, and then roll that into the Northwest game on Saturday.
Yeah, and that is a 7:30 start on Wednesday, even though it is the single game. The men will play at their normal time that they would this time of year. And then, obviously Northwest on Saturday, a 3:30 start there. And as folks, know by now, a bit of a, I know coaches hate the word like rebuild and things like that, but it is the start of a new era. There's a ton of new players on that roster, a new head coach, and Northwest right now, 4 wins, 15 losses. They have lost 5 in a row. They haven't won at home yet this year at Northwest, but they have gotten 3 true road wins, 2 of them at Central Missouri and Emporia. When we went there almost 2 months ago, battle to the end, and Missouri Western pulled it out 70-66. I feel like in the first few years that I was here and we talked about this game, you said so much about hey, it's no secret they owned this big streak on us, and we got to do our part in the rivalry, this, that, and the other. Well, you did get one on Ben before he left last year, which was really fun. That considering most of that starting lineup is now starting at Drake, that's number one. And then we go in there and win for the first time since 2009. Just how satisfying is it to know that we are starting to do our part in this rivalry a bit?
Yeah, we've tried since I got the head coaching job to do this the quote-unquote right way, and sometimes that takes a little longer, and we've wanted to build sustainable success instead of just, like trying to piece things together really quick and then it kind of falling out. And so I know that it's frustrating. It's frustrating for me because I want to go 30-0 every year, and I want to be number one in the league, and that's the plan. But to build it in a way that you can actually sustain it, where you can be atop of the league instead of for one hot year for a decade, for 5 to 10 years, 10, 15 years. It takes time, and it's grueling. It's a grueling process, and you sacrifice doing things that might allow you to have some fool's gold success early, and then you kind of have to sacrifice on the back end, or you can do it the right way, build it for the long term. And I think, and everyone has their own opinion, I think that we've done that. I think that we've built it in a way that we're going to be able to have sustainable success where, once we reach that pinnacle and we're winning the league, we can stay there. We can stay on top. And so, beating Northwest last year with the roster that they had, having the success that we've had this year, I think that you're seeing the fruits of that labor a little bit with what my staff has done, with what the players have done. And so, we're going to continue to do it that way. We're going to continue to slow drip it to do it the right way. And, I'm proud of our guys. I'm proud of my staff, and I'm proud of our program.
Yeah, and that's a team at Northwest that they got the week off themselves, so they'll be well rested when they come to play us on Saturday at 3:30. We had a sweep against the Bearcats at home last January, hoping to do something similar here this Saturday on the first day of February, and the Bearcats come to town. But do not forget, we still got a midweek game. It's a men's-only game, a non-conference against Haskell this Wednesday night at 7:30. And by the way, Coach, congratulations to assistant John Hood and his wife Tara. They gave birth to a beautiful baby girl this past week, so that was great news.
Daddy Hood, and I'll tell you, my dad taught me when I was young that like the best thing that you can do is if you're ever absent and you're not able to show up for whatever reason, that your lack of presence is felt. And let me tell you, I'm glad that Coach Hood has done his daddy duties, but we felt his absence, and that's a credit to Coach Hood and the work that he does. And when I saw him in the office this morning, I was elated. One, that baby's healthy, mama's healthy, and again, shout out Coach Hood for being a dad now. But it's great to have him back because his presence was missed, and it's going to be it's going to be a grind this second half of the conference season. You know, we're 10 games in. We have 9 more. We got a couple at home. We got a couple tough road trips. And so, you know, congratulations to him, but it's really good to have him back.
Absolutely. Comes at a good time. We got a big month or so of games coming up starting this week. Coach Martin, thanks. We'll see you up here for the panel. All right, there you go. Will Martin joining us on this men's basketball segment. We'll take a quick timeout, and we'll round it out with our coaches panel. We'll give Coach Feldhaus the week off. I can only fit 4 total guests with me, so we'll have Nicole, Cody, and Alex join us for a little coaches roundtable discussion when we come back on the GSI Podcast from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill. All right, back for our roundtable, the final segment of the day. Woo, got a little feedback. Sorry, coaches.
Keep waiting for the when that song plays.
It's hip hip, not
whatever. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I would know if you'd let it play.
Yeah, that's true. Well, copyright, things I got to be careful. But Alejandro de la Torre, Cody Ingold, Will Martin, Nicole Thompson joining us. Always so good. I'm glad we can get our spring sports coaches involved in this now. So, Alex, thanks for coming up. Well, there's a big game in the area last night. I don't know if you got a chance to watch, but I'm curious. I've got a bit of an AFC West panel up here, a Bronco fan and a Charger fan. Just how are you two feeling after watching Clark Hunt take another AFC title?
I texted you this last night, Tommy.
You did.
I am the hypercritical of the referees in every game. Yeah. That's all my Twitter is that, I think. They almost got it right. That 4th down call, they get that right. The Chiefs still win. And we can all fly off in the sunset, and everybody's happy, but they missed it. So it's still staying.
Yeah.
Unfortunate. I am a Chargers fan, but I love Andy Reid. Yeah. It's fun to watch Patrick. Like, I enjoy it. It's cool to be a part, like, be here with it, but it's also every time they win, I want to barf.
They're a lot harder to hate than Belichick and Brady. I will say.
Oh no, that was fun.
Yeah.
Belichick, Brady.
It was fun to hate them, but it was easy to hate them too.
Oh no, I didn't hate them either.
Okay. Well, my brother was a Patriots fan, so I kind of was subjected to it. But yeah, Nicole, how are the folks in Colorado feeling right now?
Probably about the same as what Cody said. I don't really have anything good to say about that, but you know. It's hard to hate him. Like, when we work parking and stuff in the summer,
That's true, yeah.
If Andy Reid stopped, I would definitely want to talk coaching styles with him or, just like coaching 101. But then deep down, I'm like, no. Like, I'm a Broncos fan deep at heart.
Oh, that's great. Well, I mean, things are looking up. You guys had a good step in the right direction. Alex, I'm curious, you're a native of Spain. You've been in the U.S. for a while. Just how is American football kind of viewed or perceived in your home country?
Well, for me, I just needed the Chiefs to win my bracket. So that's what I care about.
So you're wearing the red now just to show solidarity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's growing a lot, and they're gonna play next season. Miami's coming to play in Madrid. And
no kidding.
In Europe, it's growing a lot. Like my brother, even before I came to college, he would stay up at night and watch the games. So not everyone knows about it, but. It's growing a lot.
Yeah. Have you kind of gotten swept up in Chiefs fandom or any NFL team that's kind of gravitated to you? Or?
I think it's hard not to when we are so involved with them. They're so involved with us. They come practice here, and I think it's really cool. When they first explained to me that the Chiefs were training here. Yeah. I was like, I for sure understood that wrong. There's no way, but which happens a lot to me. Yeah. But no, it's amazing. Of course, I like it, and I'm following it more, and it's good.
Yeah. Well, we do have a couple seasons, several seasons starting this weekend, baseball, softball, tennis. I kind of pose this question to some of our fall coaches, and Will, I'll open it up to you too. But getting back into that game day mode, just I'm curious, how do you decompress? How do you stay calm? How do you stay collected on game day, just knowing the stresses that come with it?
That's one thing that I've struggled with, you know, and what I've done this year, there's an author named Michael Singer. He wrote the book Untethered Soul and The Surrender Experiment, which I would definitely suggest to any reader out there. He does a little like meditation podcast that it's about 45 minutes or an hour long, and I found that that's been successful. I don't always stay true to that because my mind is very manic on game day, so it's hard for me to actually sit down and take 45 minutes to do that because I feel like I'm being lazy or not being focused. But for me, if I can get to a place of stillness and presence, I find that I'm much more level-headed and at peace during the game, which is probably what's best for our team.
Yeah. Nicole, is softball as superstitious as baseball, or I don't know, any rituals or anything that comes to mind?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's always been a part of the sport.
Yeah.
of course, I try to say I'm going to be so productive and have everything figured out before this week. And then, of course, I get in the office today and I'm a stress of like, okay, do I have everything? Yeah. Are we going? Are we flying? You know. But I think like once it's always to me like, yeah, you know, turn in the lineup, double check things, go through my cues and reset buttons. But it's always like until the first pitch or the first hit or the first time I make a call, or, you know, and then after that I can kind of calm, cool, collective. But I'll just say too, like this group helps me out a lot. They bring a lot of their own energy, and I don't feel like I have to do that every single practice. And so I think that helps me calm down, because then I can feel cool and calm. Then I feel like that can portrays to my kids, and they can just kind of self-lead themselves. And so that has really helped me this year, honestly. And I think just the years now I have as a head coach, I feel like the game has slowed down a little bit for me. And then usually I try to FaceTime my 4-year-old before a game. She tries to tell me, you know, ball girls good, ball girls don't, and she kind of helps me out, kind of reset that.
That's terrific. Alex, I guess once it's match day, like what's the thing you got to do to just kind of get in that right mindset?
Nothing.
Nothing at all. Yeah.
I don't want to think about it at all.
Yeah.
You know, like I focus about the practice. You know, like during the practice we do things that the way we're supposed to do, hopefully. Yeah. And then before the match, I have nothing. Like it's something, but then the decisions, like even the lineup, I do it like 10 minutes before we start.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Wow.
Really quick, and
I'm jealous.
Whatever happens.
Yeah, and then you're at that point. It's just like it's kind of up to them, right? There's not a lot you can do in the match, right?
Yeah, like that's what I worry about. Like that we are prepared before.
Yeah.
Like during the day. The day off is like I feel like you have rolled the dice already, and it is what it is.
Yeah, Hayes in the barn at that point. Cody, anything?
I just try to avoid them. Berhe could probably speak to it. They probably think I don't like them, but I know I'm going to say something or overcoach, and which is sounds like it should be impossible in track. But like just they know what they need to do. We've talked about it all week. We've talked about it throughout the years, so we can talk after. Like let's take care of. You know, if we're going to a conference meet, then obviously we're trying to make finals, so we got to run strategically, and that's when. But throughout the year, it's just trying to hit times. Yeah. I'm going to stay out of the way.
Terrific. Well, it's a busy week for all of us. So, coaches, good luck to you and your teams, and thanks for the time. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Tommy.
All right, there you go. Yeah, appreciate all of our coaches for joining us today. Nicole Thompson, Will Martin, Cody Ingold, and Alejandro de la Torre on the roundtable this week. We'll give Coach Martin, he's been a good soldier up here for the last month or so, so he'll take the week off of the roundtable, and try to get Damian Stamberski up here and blend our winter and sports coaches as we're well into 2025 by now. That's been the GSI Podcast for today. Be sure to, you can listen and watch it back on our podcast. Subscribe on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. We're back next Monday. It'll be February the 3rd, the third day of February. It'll be a week of signing day, National Signing Day for football coming up next week as well. So good luck to all the Griffin teams competing home and away. We'll see you next week. Until next time, thanks for watching. So long.